After I defended best friend's family, Mom called me obsessive and sent me to therapy. But the courtroom truth destroyed their favorite victim. I was 12 years old when Leo enrolled in my class. He was tall, athletic, and should have been popular. Instead, the entire class turned ghostly white as soon as he walked in. The teacher herself turned pale. I was definitely the only one who was not in the loop. I sat next to him at lunch, and everyone, even Leo, gave me a strange look. "You actually want to be my friend?" he inquired, shocked. We spent the entire day having fun. I didn't have any friends at the time, so I hurried home eager to tell my mother about the new one I'd made. But when I informed her his name, her face became white. "Stay away from that kid. Him and his dad are monsters. They hit and hospitalized their mom." I was shocked. Mom drove me to school the next morning rather than allowing me to walk. She walked up to my teacher and muttered something that made Mrs. Squelch nod grimly. When I attempted to sit close to Leo in class, Mrs. Squelch relocated my seat. When I looked across the classroom, I noticed Leo almost crying. During recess, he stood alone by the fence while the others played. And after school, I realized why. When Leo's father arrived, the pickup area cleared up completely. Parents grabbed their children and hurried to their cars. One mother actually told her kid, "Don't look at him, sweetie." Leo's father simply sat there with his head down as Leo climbed in. Everyone treated him as if they were terrible, but it didn't stack up. Leo's father would pack extra granola bars for youngsters who forgot their lunch money, and Leo volunteered to stay after school to assist special needs students. There was no chance this was the family that had attacked their mother. Then came the day when I discovered who Leo and his father truly were. I was heading home, calculating the $50 my grandmother had given me for my birthday, when 3 eighth graders approached me. "Look at the rich boy," the biggest one said, pushing me to the ground. They took my money, and one of them kicked me in the ribcage. I cuddled up, hoping for more, when they all bolted away. Leo's father stood there, not touching anyone, just standing. "Are you okay, kid?" he said before helping me up. He walked me home without saying much more. When I informed Mom what had happened, she really lost it. "He approached you? What if he'd taken you somewhere?" She was screaming. She contacted the school immediately. "A known abuser confronted my son," she repeated. By the next day, the entire school had learned. The principal issued an email prohibiting Leo's father from visiting school grounds. Parents published it on Facebook, labeling him a predator who stalked students at school. Leo appeared ruined. He sat with his head on his desk for the majority of the day. When I tried to sneak him a message thanking his father for assisting me, he pushed it back. "Please don't," he whispered. "You're making things worse for him." 2 weeks later, I noticed Leo crying in the library. He tried to conceal it, but his shoulders shook. I sat down nonetheless. "They spray-painted Predator on his car," stated Leo. "He lost his job because of it. We might lose our apartment." He wiped his eyes harshly. "Everyone hates him. But they don't know anything." "What do you mean?" I inquired. Leo looked around to ensure that we were alone. He then dropped the bomb. It turns out he and his father never hit their mother. Actually, it was the other way around. Their mother struck them. She'd toss bottles, break cookware and plates, and use lighters. Leo still has a burn mark on his back from it. "Then why was your dad blamed?" I inquired. He simply burst into tears at that point. He said that, in addition to striking them, his mother constantly threatened his father, claiming that if he ever left and took Leo, she would tell everyone Dad was the abuser. My face turned pale. "And that's what she did," Leo added, sobbing. "When Dad took me and we finally left, she took him to court and lied about everything." "Then why does everyone say you're guilty?" "'Cause you're all idiots who can't do a Google search." He then took out his phone and showed me something that changed all I had ever known about them. He handed me screenshots from police reports, court documents, and medical records. There were images showing injuries on his father's arms, a medical report from when his mother hurled a glass bottle at his head, and several restraining order applications that his father had filed but then withdrawn. The dates went back years. Leo went through the photos, each one making my stomach turn more. I grabbed his phone and began snapping photos with mine. Leo tried to stop me, but I simply shook my head. "People need to see this." "No." Leo snatched back his phone. "You don't get it. She'll make it worse. She always does." The bell rang, and we had to get to class. I could not focus on anything. Every time I looked at Leo, crouched over his desk, I remembered those images. his father sitting in his car with spray paint, calling him a predator, and how everyone, including my own mother, bought the lie. Mom waited in the pickup line after school. She hardly let me in before beginning. "I heard you were talking to that Leo kid in the library. What did I tell you?" "Mom, you don't understand. No discussion. You're staying away from him." She tightened her hold on the steering wheel. "His father is dangerous. The whole community knows it. But what if they're wrong?" I took out my phone. "What if I could show you?" Mom slammed on the brakes at a red light and turned to face me. "Whatever sob story they fed you, I don't want to hear it. Abusers always claim to be victims. Always." At home, I went straight to my room and began investigating. I found the court case online. According to public documents, Leo's mother initially received complete custody, but when he turned 12, he decided to live with his father. That's when she submitted the abuse allegations. The timing appeared strange. I made a spreadsheet on my computer that organized everything. The photographs from Leo's phone, the court history, and the fact that Leo's father had never been convicted of anything, only charged. I was engaged in research when Mom approached at my doorway. "What are you doing?" I minimized the window. "Homework." She walked over to reopen it. In a matter of seconds, her expression changed from perplexed to outraged. "You took pictures of their fake evidence? Are you insane? It's not fake. Look at the dates. Look at the... Delete it. Now." When I hesitated, she took my phone. "I'm keeping this until you learn to make better choices. And you're grounded. No computer except for homework, and I'll be checking." The following few days were torturous. At school, I tried to smuggle notes to Leo, but the teachers kept separating us. When I walked by, the kids started murmuring. "That's the kid who hangs out with the abuser's son," someone mentioned. I began using the library computers around lunchtime. Mrs. Chen, the librarian, paid little attention as long as you remained quiet. I dug deeper into the public records. Vanessa, Leo's mother, had a background that included 2 previous restraining orders from ex-boyfriends and an arrest for assault at a bar before meeting Leo's father. I was printing papers when someone behind me cleared their throat. Mrs. Patterson, the most vocal parent volunteer, stood with her arms crossed. "Shouldn't you be at lunch?" I took the papers and shoved them inside my rucksack. "Just finishing homework." That afternoon, Mom was waiting in the principal's office when I was summoned. Mrs. Patterson sat next to her, looking smug. Principal Harris held up the printed sheets. "Care to explain why you're researching restraining orders during school hours?" Mom's face was stoned. "We'll discuss this at home." We drove silently till we reached our driveway. Then Mom exploded. "Mrs. Patterson told me everything. You're obsessed with defending these people. What's wrong with you?" "What's wrong with me? What's wrong with everyone else?" I exclaimed back. "You're destroying an innocent family because you're too stubborn to look at evidence. Go to your room. You're not leaving this house except for school until you get your head straight." I stomped upstairs, slamming my door. Mrs. Patterson's house was across the street, visible from my window. She had probably already texted the other moms about my concerning behavior at school. The next day, things got worse. When I sat down, the kids moved away. My normal lunch table was unexpectedly filled. Even the teachers looked at me differently. Leo caught my eye in the hallway and said, "I'm sorry." I ate lunch alone in the bathroom stall, strategizing my next steps. Mom had taken away my phone and limited my computer access, but she couldn't stop me from using school resources. I simply needed to be more strategic about it. Over the next week, I established a routine. I'd volunteer to assist teachers after school, and then use their computers after they got out. I discovered more about Vanessa. She has been sacked from 3 jobs due to interpersonal difficulties. Prior to being private, her social media was filled with rants about ex-boyfriends who had hurt her. Leo began leaving me notes in library books. Small updates concerning his father. They lost another job interview when they Googled him. The landlord wants us out before the end of the month. Dad refuses to eat and insists that food be sent to me. Every note made me furious. I began writing everything down in a notebook I kept hidden in my locker, including evidence, dates, and links. I was building a case. Then Mom learned about the after-school computer use. Mrs. Patterson's daughter saw me and reported back. Mom arrived at school furious. "I've had enough," she told Principal Harris. "I'm concerned about the influence this family has on my son. He's lying, sneaking around, obsessing over them." Principal Harris nodded gravely. We've noticed changes in his behavior too. I want assurance that my son will have no contact with Leo at school. We'll do our best to monitor the situation. They rearranged my lessons so that I would not see Leo. They allocated me a separate lunch period. A guidance counselor began taking me out of class for check-ins, asking how I was doing and if I wanted to discuss my recent choices. But they couldn't stop me from thinking, preparing and knowing that somewhere in town, Leo and his father were suffering, because everyone preferred comfortable lies to terrible truth. One day, I encountered Leo's father at the grocery store. He purchased the cheapest bread and a jar of peanut butter. His clothes hung loosely, as if he had lost weight. When he noticed me, he quickly looked away and went to the checkout. I followed him out. "Mr. Davidson." He paused but did not turn around. "You shouldn't talk to me. It'll make things worse for you." "I know the truth." Leo showed me. His shoulders sagged. "The truth doesn't matter when no one wants to hear it." "I want to help." He eventually turned. His eyes were red-rimmed and weary. "You're a good kid. But stay away from us. For your own sake." He sped away in his car. Predator, barely visible beneath a layer of poor paint. That night, Mom arrived in my room with her laptop. "I want to show you something." She opened up the parent Facebook group. Post after post regarding Leo's father. I saw him prowling near the playground. He followed my daughter inside the store. "Why is he not in jail yet?" "These are lies," I replied. "He's just existing. And they're making it sound criminal." Mom closed the laptop, thinking, 300 parents can't all be wrong. "I'm trying to protect you. This man is manipulating you through his son. You're the one being manipulated by gossip and fear." "Enough." Mom stood up. "I've made appointments with a therapist. Someone who specializes in children who've been influenced by dangerous individuals." My blood became chilly. "You think I'm brainwashed?" "I think you're confused. And I'm going to fix this." She left me alone to deal with my wrath. They were erecting walls around me, attempting to force me to abandon Leo and his father. However, walls had never stopped me before. Late that night, I heard Mom on the phone. "Yes, I'm very concerned. He's obsessed with proving their innocence, taking pictures of supposed evidence. I think they've really gotten into his head." I recognized the deliberate tone. She was constructing her own case, portraying me as unstable, obsessed, and manipulated, the same strategy Vanessa had used against Leo's father. I stared at the ceiling, contemplating. Everyone accepted the story because it was easier than challenging it. Because a mother's tears in court were more powerful than a father's silent denials. Because shifting the story required acknowledging you were wrong. Nobody wanted to accept that they had helped destroy an innocent family. But I had time. I was determined. And most importantly, I knew the truth. They may confiscate my phone, ban my computer, and separate me from Leo at school. They may whisper about me, isolate me, or even send me to therapy. But they couldn't change what I already understood. Leo's father was innocent. Leo was struggling, and I was determined to prove it to everyone, even if it meant becoming a pariah myself. Even if it meant fighting my mother, even if the entire town turns against me. Because sometimes telling the truth is worth being the villain in everyone else's story. The following morning I awoke with a plan. It was hazardous, certainly stupid, and would undoubtedly land me in further trouble. However, Leo's most recent note stated that they had 2 weeks until eviction. Change everything in 2 weeks. 2 weeks to reveal Vanessa's lies. 2 weeks to save my friend's family. I got ready for school, kissed Mom goodbye as if nothing was wrong, and mentally prepared for combat. They believed they had shattered me via isolation, therapy, and threats. They had no idea what I was capable of once I realized I was correct. The therapy appointment was planned for Thursday, giving us 3 days to work with. I strolled into school that morning with my notepad tucked under my shirt, knowing Mrs. Patterson's daughter would be observing everything I did. During the first period, I asked to use the restroom but instead went into the computer lab. The room was empty save for a 7th grade student working on a project. I got into a terminal in the corner and accessed Vanessa's social media profiles through a fictitious account I'd constructed weeks earlier. Her posts from 3 years ago showed a different picture than the grieving mother everyone saw now. Photos from bars, angry rants about deadbeat men, and one particularly illuminating post. Some people simply need to learn their lesson the hard way. I always get exactly what I want in the end. I took a screenshot of everything and emailed it to a new account before the bell rung. As I returned to class, I observed that Leo was not in his regular spot. His desk remained empty. At lunch, I discovered his message in our regular book. Dad collapsed yesterday. Not eating enough. The hospital refuses to admit him since he does not have insurance. We're sleeping in the car right now. My hands shook while I read it. They were living in their car, while Vanessa probably sat comfortably in the house that Leo's father had purchased for. I needed to go quicker. After school, I informed Mom that I was staying for math tutoring. She said she'd check with the teacher later, but that gave me an hour. I dashed to the public library 6 streets away. The computers there did not require student logins. I had been browsing for 20 minutes when Vanessa strolled in. She looked nothing like the shattered woman in the court images, with her fine clothes, freshly manicured nails, and confident walk. She went straight for the fiction department, and I hid behind my monitor. My heart raced as she shopped, periodically looking around. Was she here by chance, or did someone inform her about my library visits? She left after 10 minutes, but I couldn't shake the sensation she had noticed me. I packed things and took an alternative way home, passing through the park. Mom waited on the porch. Math tutoring ended an hour ago. I walked with some friends. Mrs. Patterson saw you at the library. She pulled up her phone, displaying a photo of me at the computer. She's concerned you're still investigating that family. I remained mute as she ushered me inside. The therapy appointment couldn't come soon enough for her. That night, I overheard an argument downstairs. Dad had returned home from a business trip, and Mom was filling him in. He's obsessed, Tom, taking pictures of documents, researching the mother, defending them constantly. Maybe we should hear him out, Dad remarked calmly. What if there's more to the story? Not you too, Mom said, her voice rising. That man is dangerous. The whole community knows it. The whole community has been wrong before, Dad said. Their dispute continued, but I remained hopeful. Dad had always been more reasonable and less influenced by gossip. Perhaps I could persuade him. The next morning, Leo was not at school. I overheard teachers say he had been absent for 3 days. Probably too embarrassed to show his face, a friend commented, after what his father did. I wanted to scream that they had it wrong, but I remained silent. Let them assume I had given up. During library time, I discovered a message in our book, but it wasn't Leo's handwriting. Stop digging, or your friend will suffer the price. Vanessa knew. She was aware I was scrutinizing her. My palms trembled as I pocketed the note. This was going beyond parental drama and school gossip. After school, I convinced Dad to take me past Leo's old flat. The automobile was not in the parking lot. We investigated 3 additional lots until I found it behind a supermarket shop. Leo's father was slumped in the driver's seat, while Leo was curled up in the back. Dad, please, I implored. Look at them. Does that look like a dangerous man to you? Dad stared for a long time. Get back in the car. But instead of driving home, he stopped at the grocery store. He purchased 2 grocery bags and a hot rotisserie chicken. Stay here, he said. I watched as he approached their car and softly knocked on the window. Leo's father sprang awake, panic blazing across his face. But Dad simply held up the bags. They spoke for a few minutes, with Leo's father shaking his head constantly. Dad eventually left the goods on their hood and walked back. He wouldn't take them at first, Dad muttered as we drove away. Said he didn't want charity. I told him it wasn't charity, just one father helping another. That night, Dad and Mom got into another disagreement. But this time, I heard my father say, "What if we're wrong, Janet? What if we're destroying an innocent family?" Thursday came too quickly. The therapist's office smelled of vanilla candles and had inspiring posters on every wall. Dr. Reeves appeared precisely as I had expected, wire-rimmed glasses, a compassionate smile, and a notebook ready. Your mother tells me you've been defending a classmate whose father has a concerning history, she says. I chose my words carefully. I've seen evidence that the story everyone believes might not be true. Sometimes when we care about someone, we want to believe the best about them, she stated with tenderness. But that can blind us to red flags. What if the red flags are pointing at the wrong person? We went in circles for an hour. She'd say I was being manipulated, but I'd dispute with facts. She'd talk about trusting community judgment, and I'd point out that communities have made mistakes in the past. By the end, she appeared frustrated. I'd like to see you weekly, she informed Mom. He's showing signs of oppositional defiance. Great. I now had a label. Friday morning I found Leo in school. He looked terrible, unwashed clothes, lifeless eyes and slightly shaky hands. Are you all right? I whispered as I passed. He shook his head slightly. She called Dad yesterday. Said she'd drop the restraining order if we came back. Dad said no. She got angry. What did she do? Nothing yet. That's what scares me. During lunch I utilized a teacher's computer while she was attending a meeting. I told her I needed to print my assignment. Instead, I logged into the email account where I was storing evidence. There was a new message. There's no sender name. Just, you were warned. I sent a snapshot of myself at the library computer, taken from behind. Vanessa had been observing me that day. My phone vibrated with a text from an unknown number. Mom had stolen my phone, but I had concealed the old one in my locker. Your friend looks tired. Sleeping in cars is so dangerous. Anything could happen. I took a screenshot of the threat and added it to my evidence file. Vanessa was growing bolder. That afternoon, Principal Harris summoned me to his office. Mom was present, along with Mrs. Patterson and 2 other parent helpers. We're concerned about your behavior, Harris said. Multiple parents have reported seeing you researching private information about a family in our community. I'm trying to help them, I explained. By spreading lies? Mrs. Patterson leaned nearer. That poor woman has suffered enough without you dragging her name through the mud. Have any of you actually looked at the evidence? I questioned them. Or are you just believing what you want to believe? Mother's face reddened. Apologize. Now. For what? Asking questions. The meeting progressed from there. They discussed suspension, limiting my computer access at school, and increasing treatment to twice a week. I sat there, allowing them to prepare my punishment, while Leo and his father slept in their car. That night, I overheard Mom on the phone with Vanessa. I'm so sorry for what my son has been doing. Yes, we're handling it. No, he won't bother you anymore. Of course, if there's anything else. She apologized to the abuser and promised to hush me. I wanted to shout. On Saturday morning, Dad took me to get a haircut. On the way, he murmured quietly. I drove by that grocery store again last night. They're still there, because they have nowhere else to go. Your mother means well, he remarked. She's trying to protect you. From what? From helping innocent people? Dad remained quiet for a long time. Show me your evidence. I stared at him. Really? I'm willing to look. But if I'm not convinced, you drop this. Deal? I consented quickly. That night, when Mom was at book club, I showed Dad everything. The images Leo had provided, the court records, Vanessa's social media posts, her history of restraining orders, and the threatening texts. Dad examined each item carefully. His expression became more concerned with each page. This is substantial, he finally said. So, you believe me? I believe there's more to this story than we've been told. He wiped his face. But your mother will never accept this. Neither will the community. They've invested too much in their version. So we just let them suffer? I didn't say that. Dad paused. But we need to be smart about this. Vanessa clearly knows you're investigating. These threats. We should go to the police. With what? She's careful. Nothing directly threatening enough for them to act on. Dad's phone rang. Mom called to let me know that the book club was going to stop early. He swiftly assisted me in concealing the evidence. We'll figure something out, he said. But be careful, don't do anything reckless. Sunday passed quietly. Too quiet. No notes from Leo. Vanessa made no threats. The serenity made me worried. Monday morning, everything burst. I arrived at school to see police cruisers in the parking lot. Students gathered in clusters and whispered excitedly. I pushed through till I saw what was going on. Leo's father was in handcuffs. Leo stood near a police cruiser, tears running down his cheeks. Vanessa was also present, clutching a bloodied tissue to her nose and talking animatedly with an officer. He attacked me, she said. I just wanted to talk about our son, and he went crazy. I quickly realized what had happened. She'd provoked him in some way, possibly by injuring herself, and had phoned the police. The classic abuser approach is to elicit a reaction and then play the victim. That's not true, I exclaimed, pushing ahead. She's lying. An officer stopped me. Stay back, son. But I have evidence. She's the abuser, not him. Vanessa's gaze met mine over the officer's shoulder. She grinned faintly. Proudly. They put Leo's father in the police car. Leo tried to accompany him, but Vanessa grabbed his arm. You're coming home with me, sweetheart. Where you belong. No. Leo attempted to pull away. I won't go with you. He's my son, Vanessa informed the authorities. I have custody. He's just confused because his father has been filling his head with lies. They made Leo accompany her. I stared helplessly as she escorted him to her car, her grip tightening on his arm. He stared back at me, horrified. At home, I told Dad everything. He immediately contacted a lawyer acquaintance, but the news was not good. With Vanessa's latest claim, Leo's father is certain to be jailed at least overnight. Vanessa had every right to take Leo, under the current custody rules. We need those threats she sent, Dad replied. They show she's been planning this. However, when I checked my disguised phone, the messages were gone. She managed to remove them remotely. I still had the screenshots in my inbox. But would anyone believe they were genuine? That night, I laid awake thinking about Leo in the house with her. Was she hurting him? Was he okay? On Tuesday morning, Leo did not attend school. I overheard teachers say Vanessa contacted to say he was traumatized and needed time to recover. I knew better. She was keeping him imprisoned. I sneaked out at lunchtime. I knew I had promised Dad not to be reckless, but I couldn't abandon Leo there. I rushed 8 blocks to Vanessa's house. Even when the curtains were drawn, I could hear shouting from inside. Then there was a crash. Then Leo's voice, high and terrified. Please, Mom, I'm sorry. I dialed 911 from my secret phone. I think someone's being hurt at 438 Maple Street. I can hear screaming and things breaking. I waited behind a tree until the police arrived. They knocked, and Vanessa responded calmly. Officers, is something wrong? We received a call about a disturbance. Oh, that must have been the TV, I was watching an action movie. Sorry if it was too loud. They purchased it. They actually purchased it. I wanted to shout that Leo was in there, possibly injured, but I knew they'd only call my parents. Vanessa went onto her porch after they had left and looked directly at my hiding spot. I know you're there, she said pleasantly. Leo wants to tell you something. Leo came at the doorway. Even at a distance, I could see the crimson mark on his cheek. Stop trying to help, he stated stiffly. You're making everything worse. Just leave us alone. Vanessa squeezed his shoulder. He read from a script. I dashed back to school, arriving just as lunchtime finished. My teacher marked me tardy, but I didn't mind. I needed to do something. That afternoon, I made my decision. If the adults won't listen to proof, perhaps they will listen to Leo himself. I began shooting movies on my disguised phone, documenting everything. The dates, the timeline, and the threats I had screenshotted before they were removed. My name is Narrator, I told you, and I'm about to tell you the truth about Catherine Davidson. I uploaded it to YouTube that night and surreptitiously shared the link on the parent Facebook group. Within 1 hour, it received 50 views, then 100. Then Mom burst into my room. What have you done? The video was already being debated within the group. Some parents called me a liar, while others asked questions. Why would a 12-year-old make this up? What did he have to gain? You're grounded indefinitely, Mom explained. No school, no leaving the house, nothing until you take that video down. Excuse me? I asked. Number ground me forever if you want, but that video stays up. Dad appeared at the doorway. Janet, have you watched it? I don't need to watch lies about that poor woman. I watched it, Dad remarked quietly. And I think we need to consider that our son might be telling the truth. They argued for an hour. Mom accused Dad of enabling my delusions. Dad brought out the evidence I had presented. Finally, Mom stormed away, stating she was going to stay with her sister until this family came to its senses. Wednesday morning, the video received 2,000 views. Comments came in. Some individuals referred to me as a brat, but others told their own memories of false charges and how difficult it was for male abuse victims to be believed. Then Vanessa struck back. A new video has debuted on the parent Facebook page. Security camera from a store captured me stalking her at the library. Another image of me prowling outside her house. She had modified them to remove context, making me appear obsessed and threatening. This disturbed child has been harassing my family, her tweet stated. His father should be investigated for encouraging this behavior. I fear for my safety, and my son's. The tide shifted against us immediately. Parents demanded action. Some demanded that Dad be fired from his job for aiding stalking, while others wanted me institutionalized. Principal Harris phoned Dad. I was suspended indefinitely pending a psychological evaluation. Therapy appointments were now required, not optional. But something unexpected occurred. Leo's father's lawyer saw my footage. He called Dad that afternoon. "Your son's video is the first real help we've gotten," he joked. "Would he testify about what he's witnessed?" "He's 12, Dad explained. And the community has already turned against him." "I understand. But that video is making people outside your community ask questions. Sometimes that's all it takes." One crack in the narrative. That night, I was unable to sleep. Leo was still confined with Vanessa. His father was still in jail. My family is also coming apart. But the video was still available and spreading. Perhaps it will reach someone who can help. Thursday's breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A woman named Sarah commented on my video. "Catherine Davidson was my roommate in college. Everything this kid is saying tracks with what I saw. She put her ex-boyfriend in the hospital and convinced everyone he was the aggressor. I have photos." Sarah's remark contained photos from 20 years ago, showing Vanessa with bruised knuckles, smiling about teaching him a lesson. According to police files, she was the aggressor but negotiated her way out of charges. I screenshotted everything before Vanessa could erase it. But Sarah did more than just comment. She called the police station where Leo's father was being kept. She called the local news stations. She contacted everybody who would listen. "I stayed quiet 20 years ago," she told a reporter. "I won't make that mistake again." By Friday, Vanessa's story was beginning to unravel. The surveillance footage she had released was being questioned. Why did she film a child? How did she gather film from multiple locations? It appeared more like stalking than being stalked. Leo's father's lawyer used my footage and Sarah's testimony to seek an emergency custody hearing. The judge agreed to review the case on Monday. But Vanessa was not done. Friday afternoon, she called Dad's office, stating he had threatened her. She had a recording, carefully edited from a voicemail he had left, urging her to allow Leo return to school. Dad's supervisor summoned him in. There would be an investigation. Meanwhile, Dad was suspended with pay. "I'm sorry," I told him that night. "I ruined everything." "No," Dad replied forcefully. "You stood up. For the truth. That's never wrong, even when it costs us." Mom was still not home. She texted Dad that she would not return unless I sought therapy for my fixation. Our family was divided, much like Leo's. Saturday, I spent the day refreshing the video statistics. There are currently 50,000 views. It was picked up by many news outlets. "Local boy's video sparks debate about believing abuse victims," read one headline. The comment section was a battleground. Vanessa's fans labeled me a monster. However, more people began to share their own stories, including men who had been assaulted and not believed, as well as children who had witnessed their fathers being destroyed by false charges. The story was shifting. Then Sarah posted again. This time she had video. Vanessa admitting to lying about her boyfriend on an outdated camcorder from college. "He was going to leave me," Vanessa stated in the shaky footage. "So I made sure nobody would believe him when he tried." The smoking gun. I instantly downloaded it and saved it wherever I could think of. This was the proof that everyone needed. But Vanessa made one last desperate move. Saturday night, she announced on Facebook that Leo had fled. "My troubled son has been so brainwashed by his father's lies that he's fled our home. Please help me find him." The police issued an alarm. The entire community was searching for Leo. Vanessa portrayed the desperate mother well, even giving an emotional interview to local news. I knew better. Leo would not run away. He had nowhere to go. Which implied Vanessa had done something with him, like hide him somewhere to make her narrative more credible. I contacted the police with my theory, but they dismissed it. "The boy who made the video is not a credible source," they informed us. So, I did the only thing I could think of. I went live on social media. "Leo Davidson didn't run away," I told my phone camera. "His mother is hiding him somewhere. She's done this before. Sarah's evidence proves it. Leo is in danger. Please, someone help find him." The live video circulated quicker than anything I'd previously posted. People began sharing Leo's photo, but not Vanessa's narrative. They shared it with warnings. "This boy may be held against his will by his mother." Tips flowed in. Someone had spotted Vanessa's automobile at an abandoned property outside town. Another person noticed weird noises from a storage unit she hired. Faced with rising public pressure, the police had to conduct an investigation. They discovered Leo imprisoned in Vanessa's storage container with a sleeping bag and some water. She had told him that if he left, she would phone his father. The news broke on Sunday morning. Vanessa was arrested. Leo was safe, traumatized, but physically unhurt. Vanessa was led away in handcuffs by police while screaming about conspiracy, and the footage was all over the place. But the real vindication came when they looked at Leo's medical data with new eyes. The pattern was clear. Injuries consistent with abuse, all prior to his parents' separation, and all when he resided mostly with Vanessa. Leo's father was released immediately. The charges were withdrawn. The reunion video, showing Leo sprinting into his father's arms, went viral. The community that had condemned them was compelled to admit an uncomfortable truth. They had been mistaken. They had chosen comforting lies over painful evidence. They'd almost destroyed an innocent family because believing a mother's tears was simpler than doubting the story. Some people apologized. Principal Harris personally contacted to lift my suspension and Leo's father's school ban. Mrs. Patterson, shockingly, arrived at our home with a casserole and an emotional apology. Others, however, refused to back down, arguing that Vanessa was still the true victim and that we had all been duped. The parent Facebook group divided into parts. Friendships terminated. The community, which had before been united in its hatred, was now divided by truth. Mom arrived home Sunday night. She paused in the doorway to my room for a long time before speaking. I was wrong, she admitted simply. I was so focused on protecting you that I refused to see what was right in front of me. You were doing what you thought was right, I told you. No. She shook her head. I was doing what was easy. Believing what everyone else believed, because questioning it was too hard. Our family began healing. Slowly. The therapy sessions that Dr. Reeves insisted on became family sessions in which we went through what had transpired. Sarah established a GoFundMe, which helped Leo and his father find a new apartment. The same community that had spurned them suddenly donated thousands to help them begin again. At school, things were different. Some children treated me like a hero. Others whispered that I was a troublemaker who had destroyed a family. Leo and I ate lunch together, without caring what others thought. Thank you, he said one day, for not giving up, even when it cost you everything. You would have done the same for me, I answered. I don't know if I would have been brave enough, he said. To stand alone against everyone, to keep fighting when your own family turned against you. That took real courage. Vanessa's trial was months away, but her reputation had been shattered. The reality has finally caught up to her meticulously planned lies. She had lost her son, her freedom, and the sympathy she had been using for so long. The true victory, however, was not her defeat. Leo's smile returned. It was his father finding a new job, with no murmurs following him. It was a community gradually realizing that the truth is often more complex than the story they wish to accept. I also learned something. Standing up for the truth is not easy. It loses you friends, separates families, and causes you to doubt everything. But when you know you're right, when someone's life is at stake, you keep going, even if it means becoming the villain in everyone else's story. Because heroes must do such things on sometimes. Monday morning brought mayhem. The emergency custody hearing was planned at 2 p.m., but Vanessa refused to give up without a fight. She had hired 3 lawyers and launched a publicity campaign overnight, appearing on morning shows and alleging she was being persecuted by an online mob. I watched from my bedroom as she sobbed on television about how her troubled ex-husband had turned their children against her. She pulled up printed screenshots of my video, claiming it was harassment. The host nodded sympathetically as Vanessa described herself as a victim of cyberbullying. Dad knocked on my door. The lawyer wants to prepare you for testimony. Are you ready for this? I nodded, but my hands shook. It was one thing to broadcast films online, and another to face Vanessa in court. We met Mr. Chen, Leo's father's lawyer, in his office. He appeared fatigued, but determined. Your video changed everything, he said to me. But Vanessa's team will try to discredit you. They'll say you're just a kid who got manipulated. What should I say? The truth. Stick to facts, not opinions. And whatever you do, don't let them rattle you. Leo was also present, seated between his father and a social worker. He looked better than when I last saw him at Vanessa's house, but he still had shadows under his eyes. Every time Leo moved, the social worker would write a note. Leo murmured, "They're evaluating me," as she stepped out. To see if I'm being coached. The courthouse was packed. Parents from the school filled the gallery, separated into distinct camps. Mrs. Patterson sat behind Vanessa, and curiously, Mrs. Chen from the library sat on our side. Local news cameras waited outside. Vanessa entered wearing a conservative suit and blotting her tears with a tissue. She'd even prepared props, including a photo album of happier moments with Leo that she hugged tightly. The judge, a strict woman named Rodriguez, ordered the proceedings to order. Vanessa's lawyers quickly sought to exclude my testimony, describing me as an emotionally unstable child with an unhealthy infatuation. "Your Honor," said a lawyer, "this boy has stalked my client, posted defamatory videos, and encouraged a hate campaign against a protective mother." Mr. Chen stood up. "Your Honor, this boy uncovered evidence of systematic abuse that authorities missed. His testimony is crucial." Judge Rodriguez gave me a long look. "I'll allow it, but I'll be watching for any signs of coaching." Vanessa testified first. She was pretty good. She cried at the appropriate times, her voice breaking as she detailed Leo's father's violent anger and how she had lived in fear for years. She displayed images of bruises that were artfully edited to mask their age. "I only wanted to protect my son," she cried. "But his father poisoned him against me." Then began the cross-examination. Mr. Chen opened Sarah's movie on a laptop. "Ms. Davidson, do you recognize your own voice saying, 'I made sure nobody would believe him when he tried'?" Vanessa's face turned white. "That's taken out of context. I was young, dramatic." "Were you being dramatic when you locked your son in a storage unit?" "I was protecting him. He was going to run to his father." "By imprisoning him." Vanessa's lawyers objected constantly, but the harm had been done. Her disguise was sliding. Following that, Leo testified. His voice was calm but steady as he showed the judge his burn scars and described the pattern of torture. Vanessa kept trying to get his attention, mouthing, "I love you," every time the judge looked away. "She'd hurt us, then cry and say we made her do it," Leo recalled. "She'd say if we told anyone, they'd take me away forever." Then it was my turn. My legs felt like jello as I stood up. Vanessa looked at me with loathing. Her lawyer quickly attacked. "Isn't it true you have no friends except Leo?" "I have friends. But Leo was your first real friend, wasn't he? You'd do anything to keep that friendship." I remembered Mr. Chen's advice. Stick to facts. "I saw evidence of abuse. I reported it." "You mean you saw what Leo wanted you to see? You took photos without permission, stalked my client." "I investigated the truth." "You're 12 years old. What makes you qualified to investigate anything?" I straightened up. "Being 12 doesn't make me stupid. It just means adults think they can lie to me." Gasps echoed across the gallery. The lawyer's cheeks turned red. "Your Honor, this child's disrespect is honest," Judge Rodriguez interrupted. "Continue, young man. I told them everything. Timeline, evidence, and Vanessa's threats." Her lawyers kept objecting, but I remained calm. Factual. When they displayed the stalking videos, I explained their context. Vanessa knew I was gathering evidence, so she gathered her own, I recalled. But she had to edit it, because the truth didn't support her story. During recess, Vanessa surrounded me in the corridor while Dad was in the restroom. "You little brat," she yelled, "you've ruined everything." I moved away, but she followed. "Leo will never forgive you for this. You've destroyed our family." "No," I replied, loud enough for others to hear. "You destroyed it. I just showed everyone how." A bailiff entered, and Vanessa swiftly reverted to her mourning mother, but several people had observed the incident. When court reopened, 3 parents requested to testify. They'd been in Vanessa's inner circle but had their reservations. One mother revealed how Vanessa advised her on what to post in the Facebook group. Another said Vanessa had asked her to lie about seeing Leo's father near the playground. "I thought I was helping," the woman admitted, mortified. "She seemed so convincing." Vanessa's lawyers scrambled, but more fissures emerged. An expert reviewed the hospital documents she had submitted and identified irregularities. The bruise images were analyzed and discovered to be several years old, predating the split. By 4 p.m., Vanessa's story had totally unraveled. But she had one more card to play. "Your Honor," she rose up, ignoring her lawyer's attempts to stop her. "If you give Leo to his father, I'll kill myself. I can't live without my son. His blood will be on your hands." The courtroom exploded. Leo began crying. His father tried to console him as Vanessa sobbed dramatically. Judge Rodriguez smashed the gavel. "Miss Davidson, you've just made a threat of self-harm to manipulate this court. Bailiff, please escort Miss Davidson for psychiatric evaluation." Vanessa lunged at Leo. "No." But was held by cops. "He's my son. You can't take him." As they took her out, she yelled at me, "This is your fault. You did this." The court ordered a recess to allow everyone to cool down. In the corridor, Vanessa's supporters appeared stunned. Mrs. Patterson approached me hesitantly. I owe you an apology, she explained quietly. I was so sure. She's a mother. Mothers can be abusers too, I said. She flinched and nodded. I helped spread those lies about Leo's father. I don't know how to fix that. Start by telling the truth, I advised. When the court reconvened, Judge Rodriguez read her verdict. Emergency custody to Leo's dad, pending full review. Vanessa will undergo psychiatric evaluation and supervised visits only if deemed safe. This court also recognizes the extraordinary courage of a young man who stood up for truth, despite significant personal cost, she said as she glanced at me. Adults failed Leo Davidson. A 12-year-old didn't. Outside the courthouse, reporters flocked. Dad sheltered me, but I overheard their queries. How does it feel to be a hero? What made you keep fighting? I was not a hero. I was just a child who couldn't bear witnessing injustice. That night our phone repeatedly rang. News outlets. Talk shows. Everyone wanted to know the story. Dad turned them all down. You've been through enough, he stated. Mom sat beside me on the couch. I'm proud of you, she stated. And I'm sorry I didn't listen. You were trying to protect me from the wrong thing, she told me. I was so afraid of the monster everyone described that I couldn't see the real monster hiding in plain sight. Tuesday, I returned to school. The hallways felt odd. Kids began to whisper, but not all of it was bad. Some people nodded respectfully. Others still believed I was a troublemaker who had destroyed a family. Leo was also there. We sat together at lunch and ignored the looks. My dad got a job interview, he remarked. A company owner saw the news and said anyone who survived what he did deserves a chance. That's great. It's in another state, Leo explained gently. Dad thinks we need a fresh start. My heart fell. Regardless, I was losing my best friend. When? If he gets it. Next month, maybe. The remainder of the week seemed strange. Vanessa posted bail, but was told to stay away from Leo and his father. She quickly took to social media, alleging she was being persecuted, but her support had disappeared. Even her lawyers quietly dropped the case. Principal Harris gave an assembly about rushing to judgment and the value of evidence. He didn't specifically mention Leo's family, but everyone knew. Some of the teachers who had previously been chilly to Leo went overboard in their attempts to be pleasant, making things awkward. Dad's supervisor called him back to work early, apologizing for his suspension. We had to investigate the complaint, he replied. But it's clear now it was harassment. Our family slowly regained its rhythm. Mom and Dad were cautious around each other, rebuilding trust. When Dr. Reeves saw the true circumstances, the treatment session she had ordered became more beneficial. You showed remarkable moral courage, I was informed. But it's okay to feel angry about what it cost you. I was angry. Angry at the adults who'd believed lies so easily. Angry at the system that almost let Vanessa win. Angry that doing the right thing had nearly destroyed my family too. Sarah made a call on Friday afternoon. She was flying in to attend Vanessa's criminal trial. I wanted to thank you, she explained. For 20 years, I've carried guilt about staying silent. You gave me a chance to make it right. You helped save Leo, I remarked. We both did. But you started it. A 12-year-old had more courage than I did at 22. That weekend, the main Facebook group collapsed. Vanessa's private communications have been leaked, with screenshots advising parents on what to post. Some parents turned against one another, disputing about who was most to blame. The group eventually disbanded totally. Mrs. Patterson formed a new organization focusing solely on confirmed information. She requested me to moderate it. I declined. I had had enough of parental drama. Leo's father got the job. They would be relocating to Oregon in 3 weeks. We spent every day after school together, attempting to squeeze years of friendship into days. I'll pay a visit, Leo pledged. And there's video chat. It's not the same. No, he agrees. But it's better than me being trapped with her. Vanessa's psychiatric evaluation confirmed what everyone already knew. She had a history of deception and abuse dating back decades. She was charged with false imprisonment, child abuse, and false reporting. Her trial would last months. The Tuesday before Leo departed, we sat in the park where it all began, where his father had defended me from bullies what seemed like a lifetime ago. I never thanked you properly, Leo said. For everything. You don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. He took out a wrapped present. Dad and I got you something. Inside was a compass on a chain, simple and elegant. So you always know the right direction, Leo explained. Even when everyone else is lost. I put it on right away. It felt right. Their moving day arrived too quickly. The entire neighborhood watched as they loaded the truck. Some had the courtesy to show shame. Others simply stared. Leo's father shook my hand. You saved our lives, he replied simply. I'll never forget that. Take care of him, I instructed. Always. Leo hugged me tightly. Best friend forever. Forever, I said. I watched their pickup disappear around the bend, the compass resting against my chest. Mom placed her arm around me. You did a good thing, she replied. Even though it hurts now. That night, I sat to my computer and began typing. Not another video or expose, just a simple post. Sometimes telling the truth costs everything. To rescue your best friend, you may have to lose them. Sometimes being correct feels worse than being incorrect. But the truth matters. Justice is important. And occasionally a 12-year-old needs to remind grown-ups of this. I posted it and shut down my laptop. Tomorrow will present fresh challenges. There will probably be new fights. Vanessa's trial looms. The community remained fragmented. Some people will never forgive me for revealing their cozy lies. But tonight, I held the compass and recalled Leo's joy at the courthouse when the judge declared him free. It made everything worthwhile. My phone buzzed with a message from Leo. Made it to Oregon. Dad smiled. Really smiling. Thank you. I smiled too. For the first time in months, I smiled genuinely.